Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us for another episode of the NYALPA podcast. I'm so glad you're here. Each episode brings you voices from the field who are leading, innovating, and advocating for multilingual learners across our schools and systems. Today, I'm excited to welcome Khalil El-Saghir, who serves as the Vice President of NYALPA and will step into the role of President-elect starting July 1st. Khalil is also a multilingual consultant at Wayne County RESA in Michigan and brings over 2 decades of experience in K-12 education. Throughout his career, Khalil has been a strong advocate for asset-based approaches to multilingual learner education, effective language development programs, and the thoughtful integration of emerging tools like AI to support both students and educators. In today's conversation, we'll learn more about his journey, his vision for NYALPA, and why being part of this professional community matters now more than ever. So welcome, Khalil.
Thank you, Jovi. Thank you so much. It is truly a great honor to serve as Vice President of NYALPA at such an important moment in our profession, and thank you for this opportunity. When I think about multilingual education today, I see both tremendous opportunity and tremendous responsibility, and across the country, multilingual learners continue to enrich our schools and our communities and our nation with their languages, with their cultures, experiences, and perspectives. And at the same time, educational leaders are navigating a rapidly changing landscape that is shaped by shifting policies, evolving demographics, workforce challenges, and of course, the emergence of technologies like AI. And I've been working on that for quite some time. And so what excites me most about NYALPA is that we bring together leaders who understand that multilingual education is not simply about compliance or programs. It is about people. It is about opportunity. It is about ensuring that every multilingual learner has access to an education that recognizes their strength and helps their thrive. So I look forward to our conversation, and thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here with you today as well. So for those who are listening and viewing today who may not yet be members of NYALPA, why should someone join?
Well, for the most part, joining NYALPA is about advocacy, is about making a difference in the work of educational leaders across the nation, and supporting LEAs and SEAs, local educational agencies and state educational agencies, to make the policies and practices that support multilingual learners. And I know that in the name of NYALPA, we say EL program administrators, but we moved from that labeling to use multilingual learners, even though in the name it's still because it is more asset-based approach. So joining NYALPA is very important in terms of having in place policies on the national level, on the state level, that really provide those leaders, those administrators, with the tools and with the policies that make our work not only easier but meaningful to the support of multilingual learners and their families and the teachers who support those students. We're at a very critical point in our history right now that multilingualism is moving forward, and bilingualism is moving forward again after decades of declining. And we need to ensure that states and districts have those advocacy groups that make this transition, this moving forward, more meaningful. And NYALPA is at the front of that in supporting those leaders in doing so. So this is a very critical mission for our organization, and we really need all the support from our leaders out there to be to be members of NIALPA?
Yeah, I think as I've talked to a number of board members over the past few months, some common themes that came up when I asked this question is sort of what you're alluding to today as well, which is this idea of having a strong network, being in the know, having the support that you need collectively as we work together towards, making sure that we have the best outcomes possible for our multilingual learners. One thing that you just made me think of, though, that I think maybe this is the first time it came up is maybe just the flip side of that, where if we want our organizations to be able to do the work that we're charging them with, they need resources. So NIALPA needs resources to be able to do the type of work that they're doing on behalf of our multilingual learners. So it's with the support of members that allow them to have the resources. So I think that might be the first time that's come up. And I did want to call that out because I think a lot of times when we think about membership, we are thinking about, oh, what's in it for me, right? And that's, perfectly normal. What am I going to get out of it? But also just knowing that if everyone thinks someone else is going to pay their membership dues and that you'll just kind of benefit from all that work in the country on behalf of everybody, maybe just shifting our thinking to being part of contributing to the work that's being done in some small way by becoming a member. So yeah, thanks for bringing that up because it made me really think about not just, what we're getting out of being members individually, but what our membership gives to NIALPA in terms of the ability to do the work and the resources it needs to have to make the commitments that they're making on behalf of us
Thank
our
you.
students.
Yeah, yeah, you're right, Joby. That's a very good point. I didn't mention the financial issues of it
Yeah.
because you as you know having our activities, our annual conference, our
Mhm.
virtual conference, our all
Right.
that requires
Mhm.
demands financial support, and membership is probably the most important venue of that from which we can have the support that we need in order to have those activities.
Yeah, absolutely. So over the past couple decades in education, what are one or two experiences that really stand out to you that have most shaped your perspective on supporting our multilingual learners?
Well, I think change. I think some of the most important issues facing multilingual education uh, in the last 2 decades, but more specifically now, is change, and the work of multilingual education has always involved helping students and families navigate change. And what is different today is the speed of change, and many LEAs and SEA administrators are navigating shifting policy environments, especially now. They are responding to staffing shortages. They're managing increasing accountability demands, though not at the federal level at the moment. They are adapting to new technologies such as AI. In many communities, they are also seeing changes in newcomer enrollment patterns and growing anxiety among immigrant families. Actually, I was just reading an article on Adweek about the challenges of falling enrollment at schools and what needs to be
Mhm.
done about this. I think it is important to acknowledge that reality, honesty, and all over the country, districts are reporting fewer newcomer enrollments, increased
Mhm.
concern among families about interacting with public institutions. So it's not only about interacting with immigration, but all public institutions. Whether you are a district administrator, a state leader, or a classroom teacher, these realities have practical consequences, be it for planning, for outreach, for program implementation, as well as for student support. So, at moments like this, I believe educational leadership becomes even more important,
Yeah.
and our responsibility as educational leaders and as an organization like NIALPA is to ensure that every child who walks through our doors feel feels welcome and supported and valued, and regardless of political debates and where we stand on them,
Mhm.
children still arrive in our schools with dreams, with talents, with aspirations, and that mission does not change. So no matter what changes, what change comes in, we need to keep focusing on that mission.
Yeah, and it makes me think just about how important it is that we come together around this idea that when resources are scarce, we're being asked to do more with less. It's even more important that we're working together because we can then share resources and collaborate across not just our own district, but across districts across the country, where then good ideas can be shared and resources can be shared and ideas for how to do more with less because we're all being asked to do that. And that's probably not gonna change over the next couple years, so everyone's gonna be trying to do more with less, and leveraging all the resources that we individually have for the collective good is gonna be more important than ever, so
Fully agree.
I'm wondering, I know you've done a lot of work around using AI to support students and teachers, and specifically, really focusing on AI as a tool for multilingual learners. What are some ways that educators can begin to think about using AI, in a really responsible way for our multilingual learners?
I've been working on harnessing AI for the support of multilingual learners since for the last 3 years. And one of the things that many educational leaders started to say, well, because I've been presenting at nationally and state level and locally on this issue. I don't want to be the AI guy, but at the same
Yeah.
time, I really believe that we have an opportunity here that that needs to be explored as much as possible. AI will not replace the human relationships at the center of multilingual education, but used responsibly, it really can strengthen language access,
Mhm.
support educators, and help families participate more fully in school life. So we based on my background, um, when I first came here, I was a multilingual learner. I didn't speak any English at all, and I worked. I joined the army, and I became a language specialist. And after that, I became an educator. And throughout a long period of time, I worked as a translator and interpreter. So when ChatGPT came out, and I saw the level of uh, shift that happens when it comes to language access, uh, using I became very interested in this because of that background and that experience. And so I start experimenting with it. I start working on it, and recently we've had several initiatives in using some AI tools for translating for the families, for multilingual families in Southeast Michigan, and now in multiple locations across Michigan. And we saw really some real difference when it comes to engaging those multilingual families in multiple settings and at schools. So it really breaks down the barriers that exist in terms of language, and especially with the ability of not only like when it comes to Arabic, for example, we have many dialects in Arabic, and never before we've had the ability to have a system that not only understands all the different dialects, but be able to engage the families using their own dialects. And that is something that is unheard of
Yeah.
prior to AI. So it is really a game changer when it comes to translation, interpretation,
Mm.
scaffolding for the students, differentiating instructions, uh, different lexile reading levels. It is
Mm.
really powerful, but it has to be part of a system of instruction that support the teacher and support the students, not replacing. And we have to be cautious about this, having all the safeguards in place to protect the privacy of the students, to protect their information, and so this is where I'm concerned about, and continue to talk about the safeguarding of
Mhm.
data and privacy of the students.
I think every day we hear about things where it's breached and, they're getting access to, hackers are getting access to things. So I do think that excitement of having, accelerated learning and all of the things that you mentioned that it can do, also have to be taken with like this idea of securing like the student's information as well as just, not having everything out there on the web for everyone to be able to find. So I think that's that delicate balance. And then also I just think, to your point, making sure that people understand like AI doesn't replace direct instruction. It doesn't replace, the teachers, the translators. It can be used to accelerate what humans already do, instead of replacing what humans do. So I think that sort of focus will help districts and schools be able to best use AI for what it really has the most potential for, right? Which is accelerating and accentuating
Yeah.
access and just outcomes for students and families. Well, I wanted to ask you as we close, what message would you like to leave with educators and our listeners and viewers who are working every day to support our multilingual learners? Do you have any advice?
As I reflect where we are as a profession right now, I keep returning to one idea. Multilingual learners are not a challenge to be managed,
Mhm.
and they are an opportunity. They are an opportunity to be embraced. Really, the future of our schools is increasingly multilingual, increasingly multicultural, and interconnected. And that future, as I see it, is already here. So our task as educational leader is not simply to react to change, all the changes that happening. It is to help shape that change. And whether we are talking about multilingualism, about policy and all the changes that happening, about family engagement, or about technology and AI, the question remains the same. How do we create systems where every learner, including multilingual learners, can succeed and thrive? And I am really grateful to NIALPA and to all the organizations out there for bringing together leaders who are committed to answering that question every day. So really, this is the message that I would like to convey and keep reminding myself of what is the best system that we have out there that supports our students, that supports our families, and to improve the likelihood for our students to succeed and thrive and be the citizens that we want them to be.
So very well said, Khalil. Thank you so much for joining us today and for sharing a little bit about your journey, your leadership, and your vision for multilingual learner education in our country. We are excited for what's ahead as you step into your next role as the NIALPA president elect and prepare for your presidency. So I want to thank our NIALPA podcast listeners. If today's conversation inspired you, we encourage you to learn more about NIALPA and consider becoming part of this growing community of educators and leaders committed to supporting our multilingual learners. Be sure to check out all of the Voices for ML podcast episodes and continue learning with us at NIALPA. Until next time, thank you for the work you do every day to ensure that our multilingual learners are supported, valued, and empowered to succeed.